Hello. We're going to talk about masterboards today. I know there's loads of videos out there. I've got a few out myself, but I'm going to start with the most basic masterboard we could possibly make with minimum supplies. And we are going to go on to decorate them. And we're also going to talk about the different styles you could use to create your masterboard. So we are going to be using just book pages, nothing else, to start off this masterboard. Now I've got various types of pages, various types of text, different colours, different textures of paper, but you can absolutely use anything. Book pages are perfect to make backgrounds. One of the reasons being they're very neutral, so you can then go on to create any different style you want. I'm using some 12 by 12 paper pad cardstock to create my masterboard. So this particular one, we won't need to cover up the background of that. So I'm going to use this one, start with this first masterboard. Now masterboards are basically collages, and a lot of people struggle with collage. And I'm going to start by talking about how you can tear your paper. Now, this is just a scrap piece of tea-dyed paper, but let's say it's a book page. You could tear, so you've got uneven lines, and you could collage your masterboard using torn, uneven edges. I do that occasionally. It's not my preferred style. It might be yours. You could still do this masterboard using that technique if you like the uneven torn edges. However, I'm going to use a ruler and I'm going to tear my book pages into a straight line. Now, I don't want too much plain. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my ruler and I'm going to kind of tear off those plain edges. You do run the risk of it not being completely straight, but that's okay. Now, all of these are not going to go to waste. They're going to go aside and they can be used to make another masterboard. So we've got our first piece of book page and we've got our substrate. I'm just using a matte medium for this. You can use any glue you want. You can use a glue stick. My glue sticks are not actually working for me very well at the moment. I've got a scrap piece of paper here. I'm going to apply my matte medium, white glue, glue stick, whatever you want to use, to the back of my page, and I'm just going to put that down. Now this particular one I have glued down the right way up, but I'm not going to glue them all like that. Just going to burnish that down, make sure that's got some good adhesion. And I've got another little piece here. It's from we've already torn. I'm just going to tear that little white edge off again. And now I'm going to, I'm going to glue this in the same way. And this one, I'm just going to put over here sideways, like so. And I'm going to burnish that down. Right, now for this first piece, I am going to be using only plain kind of coloured book pages. I'm not going to be using anything with any colour on at this point. Got some music paper here. Put those aside. I'm going to put this piece upside down. I'm slightly overlapping in places. Put that piece there, and then glue my next piece. And let's put that upside down in this top corner. Now you can see I've got a little bit of glue missing there, so I'm just going to glue that down. Okay, so this is a fabulous little piece of book page that has been annotated. So I'm going to use that. I'm not worried about, because I'm gluing onto a piece of paper. I'm doing my gluing over here, and this piece of paper is obviously covered in glue, and I'm putting that face down, but that's okay, because it doesn't matter if we get glue on the top of this. Like I said, I'm using matte medium. I'm just going to burnish this down, make sure it's nice and adhered to my substrate. And let's have a look at other pages we have. Got a nice piece here. Now, obviously, the bigger the papers you glue, the quicker you will cover your masterboard. However, when you cut your masterboard into your tags, you are going to possibly have less papers to each tag that you cut. You're going to have less variation. Got this piece here. This was a page from a stamp album. So we've got some grid texture on here, which looks fantastic. I think I'm going to use some of that. And the good thing about this is you can use your lines to tear your pieces. We might add a little bit more of the grid paper at another time. See what else we have. So this is a little piece of shorthand from a shorthand book. Let's use some of that. I do love index pages. They're always really interesting to use. So I'm going to just use some of this. Got some other lovely vintage book pages here. Okay. Oh, this is a nice piece. It's got some nice kind of staining. I think I need a little bit more music paper down here and some more text. So I've got this piece, I like this little busy piece here. Happy with how this is coming along so far. Just grab another piece of text. We're going to fill a little piece here. Right, now I have this fabulous, this is part of a reckoner. So I'm going to use some of the numbers from that. I'm going to put a strip here. Just going to take a little piece off that, keep that bit for a minute. Okay, now I've got this interesting piece here, so I think we're going to add that over here just to cover that square. Right, I'm just going to tear off a very small amount of text here. Add that to this space at the top here. I think I'm going to go for another piece of grid in the centre here, just to cover that little piece up here. Right, I'm going to grab another little piece of this index. I'm going to tear it there. I'm going to tear those numbers off, but we might use those now. Yeah, no, that's going to fit fine there. So you just glue this one. Okay, so this bit here, I think I'm going to add more numbers. That's my the last piece to fill. Right, now I'm going to use this tiny little strip of numbers. I'm going to put that there. My masterboard is done. It's neat, it's tidy, it's coordinated. It's going to make a fabulous background because it's so neutral. If you like that rough and rustic edge, then of course you can go for that. What we need to do now is look at the masterboard and have a think. Why are we making this? What are we going to use it for? Are you making a specific project at the moment and you want this for your project? Or are you building a stash, so you want just options, lots of different things that you can use in your journals? And this is why you need to think about it, because you need to think now, do I want to add anything to my masterboard, or am I going to leave it as it is? I am going to add a few things to mine, and although I'm going to make a stash, I'm not using it for a specific project. I'm starting to think about maybe a colour that I might like to add. So for example, if I was doing something French, I might want to add some blues here. If I was doing something for a nature theme journal, I might want to add some greens here. Just have a little think about the purpose of your masterboard. So in this box, I have some vintage tickets, and I am going to maybe add a few of these. I've got a kind of neutral blue. Here's a neutral green. I'm going to go for fairly muted colours. I've got a ticket there. These are vintage tickets. These are originals, but you can just as easily use digitals if you have digitals, or you can use, or you don't have to add these things at all. That one's quite good, but I can cut that one in half. Let's use the little one. So I've got a few tickets, and like I said, they're fairly neutral colours, blues, greens, muted tones. And then, can you remember that Italy stamp page? These are the stamps that I actually took off that particular page. So I'm going to have a little look through and see what we have. Okay, right. I don't like that stamp. It's too bright, doesn't work. But that side with the envelope is perfect. Meets these kind of tones that I'm using. That's kind of neutral. Look at that one. I think I'm going to go for these. So you could pull out coloured papers, you could pull out stamps, you could pull out tickets, you can pull out your digitals to just finish off your masterboard. So what I'm going to do is have a little look around, think about where I might want to add these. And the one thing I have in my mind is how this is going to be cut. Some of the tickets are actually nice on the back as well. Some of these don't have anything on. That one has something on the back. So I think I'm going to still stick with that side. Kind of happy with this. I'm going to stick these pieces down. But yep, my masterboard is done. Now, it's very plain. It's very plain. We do have a little bit of colour in here, but overall it's very neutral, which is exactly what I wanted, because I am going to be making tags for my stash, and I'm going to be adding different things on top of this to give you some ideas of what you can do with your masterboards and your masterboard tags. So I'm going to leave this for a little while to dry, and I'll be back shortly. My masterboard is now dry. I've just trimmed the edges and I have it in my paper trimmer. I'm doing it upside down, so I don't know exactly what I'm cutting, which makes it more fun. So this is now 6 by 12 and that's a 6 by 12. That's cut. I'm going to cut these in 2.5 centimetre tags. And we're going to have a little bit left over at the end. You could cut them smaller if you want to, which oh, that's nearly 2. I did cut some smaller, so that's my little off cut. I'm going to put that aside. I'm going to cut this one at 4.5 centimetres. So I've got a 1.5 inch strip at the end here, and I'm going to cut these also to 2.5 centimetres. So got a variety of tag sizes. You can cut yours however you like. These are just I just wanted a variety of sizes. Okay, and that's a little piece extra. So let's have a look at this one. This is 4.5. So I'm going to cut this to 2.25. So we've got 2 little pieces. And then this piece here is 6. So I'm going to cut this at 3 inches. So we have 2 pieces there. And this piece, I'm just going to turn over and have a quick look. I'm going to cut this. So this is 12 inches. I'm going to cut this at 6 inches. So I have 2 tall, skinny tags. Okay. Move those smaller ones for a minute. So we've got 2 different size tags. Let's have a look at what we have. Okay, so we have some interesting pieces there. And let's have a look at these little ones. Okay, so that's not a bad selection. What I want to do now is cut these ones. Let's put those aside. I'm going to cut these ones into tag shapes, and I'm going to use my little the little piece that I use to cut my edges. Pick which corner I'm going to use, and I'm just going to cut all of these tags using this piece here. Okay, so for these ones, I'm going to grab my punches. I'm going to cut a flat tag kind of corner on these little ones, like that. So these ones, I think I'm going to cut a square edge on these smaller ones. And I think on this one, I'm going to do a rounded corner. So basically what we're doing is we're ending up with different shapes and different sizes. So they're not all exactly the same. I'm not going to do any inking at the moment. I'm just going to start thinking about decorating. Like I said before, I am just using this to build my stash. I'm not working towards a specific journal. So I'm going to start by taking one of these larger ones, one of these smaller ones. And the first thing I'm going to have a look at is stickers. Right, so I've got my little sticker drawer out here. I'm going to have a quick look at what I have. I'm just literally going to have a look through and audition a couple of pieces to see what I like the look of. A lot of my stickers are from Happy Mail, but a lot of them are also from Etsy. I do know if you are in Australia, I know that Kerry at Witchcraft Do You Do has a lot of stickers. I seem to have a lot of toadstools and a lot of leaves, but I don't seem to have a lot of flowers. Aha. Okay, we have some under here. These are from the Weekend Flower Shop. I'm pretty sure I got these from Etsy. I love that. These are the 3 I'm going to add stickers to. So I'm starting with my main focal point. Because I don't have a particular journal in mind or a theme, I'm using things that could possibly go in many of the journals that I produce. I often do botanicals, I often do nature themed journals. So I'm just trying to build my stash using things that might possibly come in handy in the future. So those 3 have their focal point. Next, I'm going to have a little look at maybe some rub-ons. Okay, I've got a couple of packs of rub-ons here. These are from Taperology, and I'll pop my link and discount code down below. So I'm just going to have a quick look through and see if anything catches my eye. Okay, so I've grabbed out some blues. They're actually quite small, I think. I don't think, apart from this here, this bouquet, which I'm not really sure about that. Let's have a look at the yellows. Okay, I'm going to cut out this little one at the bottom here with poppies, and I'm going to have a look at these. I love these. They're in different shades. So we've got some blue shades here. Now let's take another look at this one. I want something as tall as possible. So I think I'm going to cut out this little flower here. And because the tag has plenty of space, I'm actually going to cut out the butterfly as well. Grab my little stick. So I'm going to add this one to this. And what I'm trying to show you is you can use whatever you have. Whatever you have. You know, we've used stickers. We're now using transfers. We're going to use some other things too. I'm just going to rub this onto my little tiny tag. How cute is that? Okay, let's move on to the blue one. I'm hoping this is going to work. So that one has a very different kind of look and feel to it if you compare it to this one, but they are exactly the same background, so you can start to see the different ephemeras we can come up with. Okay, next up, have a little drawer beside my desk with my paper dolls. These are Tim Holtz paper dolls. So what I'm going to do is just find, I think that one is kind of good for that, maybe him. Oh, so I could stand him on something, couldn't I? I think I'm going to go for the chap. And for the chap. Right. So this particular one, I'm going to ink him before I put him onto my tag. Rightio. I'm going to stick him down. So that's another one with a focal point. So again, I've got my little die cut flowers, and they are from Libra Designs by Susan on Etsy. You can search her shop name on Etsy. Just leave that there for a moment so you can see. And let's have a look at what we can use here. So these are die cuts. You can of course use your own die cuts if you. I am loving these. I do have to get back on her shop and order some more actually. I'm not sure the white is going to stand out, which means it's probably going to be another yellow one. Let's have a look. Yeah, I like those. Just going to grab that out while I have my box out. What I'm going to do with this is I'm just going to grab a piece of scrap paper and I'm going to use my brush. I find inking these with a brush much easier. So we've got a few left. I'm going to pull out some digitals next. Okay, so I think I'm kind of going along these lines at the moment. There's a couple of little things I want to do. So let's start with this one. These are little bits from my assemblage kit. Now, you can use anything. You can use book page images if you don't use digitals. If you do use digitals, then you can use anything you have. You don't have to use what I'm using. I'm just building my stash here by creating a few different types of look, different types of tags, just to show you that from one masterboard you can create an awful lot if you start with your simple book page masterboard. I'm only inking the things that I'm putting on the tags because I'll ink round the actual tags nearer the end. So what I want to do is give this a look like it's been held on with a paper clip. So I'm going to grab my tiny little paper clips here. Now I think these were Tim Holtz, and I'm not sure if, like everything else I use, I hoard it a little bit. So sometimes by the time I go to use it, they're actually no longer... Oh, I've got another one there. I'm going to put that little paper clip on there. I'm just going to find my little words again. So my little tiny words are from the assemblage kit. Now I've got a little one here that says pretty. Right, I think I'm going to add that at the bottom. So I'm going to give this a little ink. I think just to decorate this a little bit more. I've had a bit of a move round, so I can't always find things at the moment. I'm just going to put a little... Oh, that's me out staples. Right. Going to glue this down. Again, I've just added a staple to give that a little bit more interest. I am going to sew all of my tags. I don't know if I'm going to put toppers on any of them as yet. And I'm going to glue my little word on like that. So that tag is done. That's a kind of taller tag. Now this one, I think what I'm going to do is just cut the edges off this to make it a little bit thinner. I'm going to ink all the way around. I'm going to use my little slot punch and pop a hole in the top of that little tag. Got a little scrap of this chiffon that comes from Taperology. I'm just going to add this to that little slot, and I think I might put a little stitch in here. I might cut that down after I've sewn it. I'm just going to put a little stitch along here. Yeah, I'm just going to trim a little bit off the top of that because that's a little bit long. I'm going to rough up the edges of that. Now I'm going to glue my tag into place, and I'm going to add my little word to the bottom. Right, so that one is done. So I'm going to take a little break and then I'll come back and do the last 4 tags. Right, I've prepared these 4. Unfortunately, the camera stopped, so it didn't work. I've literally just inked and stuck on these pieces. Now, on these 2, I mounted that on 1 piece of cardboard and this one on 2 pieces. And I've just cut out a little corner there. I've stapled a little bit of lace here and I've popped a little clip on, and those 2 will just join up like that, and they're going to be layered, and this one is obviously a little bit higher than that one. This one simply added the butterfly there. And this one, I've added a piece of cardboard, a little piece of lace. I did add an extra stamp just to give that a little bit more of a pop of colour under there. And that is that one. Now, I'm going to sew my tags before I glue these pieces down. So what we have so far is this. Let's have a look at what we've got. We've got quite a few pieces, actually. Some smaller pieces. These longer pieces. The next thing I want to do actually is maybe before I sew these, I want to think about labels and things like that I might want to add. So some of them already had words on, but for each one I've found some kind of words, phrase, labels, things like that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to ink all my little words and glue them down, and I'll do my sewing and then I'll come back and show you everything all finished. My tags are all finished. I'm really happy with how they turned out. Just take a little look. I've tucked that one under his foot, just says honesty rules. We've got this one, which is beautiful in ordinary, which I love. We've got a little flower. We've got the butterfly, learn to spread your wings. We've got the two little ovally ones, the two tiny ones, which I really love. Got the two longer ones, which are really quite cool for longer pockets. These two and these two finally. Now, once I go to add these into journals, I might put a little topper on. I might put an eyelet in or a slot punch and some string. I might put something on them. It's also possible that I might actually put some paint splatters on them, maybe some black or some colour, depending on what book I want to use them for. So those are my finished tags, and you might have realised the change in outfits 3 times while I was filming, and that was because I was actually making 2 lots at once, and it took me a little bit longer than I actually anticipated. So this is the second set that I made. Same principle, using anything that I could find in my stash. So we've got a selection of stickers and rub-ons and digitals and words and die cuts. Now, I want you to take away from this that you can use anything you have in your stash. The only thing I didn't use that I probably should have done was maybe some book pages. I didn't use any book pages on any of my tags, but the whole base is book pages. So the last thing I want to do is add a little something to the giveaway journal, and I think this is probably going to be the last thing we add to this journal. Now, I had a little look through here and I didn't have any more available pockets. So what I have done is, let's find a page first of all. I think I'm going to use this page here. So what I did is I went through my stash and just found out a little pocket that I had, because there was nowhere else to really add anything in this journal. I think we've reached capacity. I'll just add a little bit of glue to my pocket. I'm going to put this quite low down because we seem to have, you know, a little bit of space along here. I think we're going to add that little toadstool because it goes with that. And let's see. And we have a little, that's actually a bit bigger than I would like. This one, I'm going to grab a paper clip. I've got a little rusty paper clip here, but I just wanted to share these with you. I did a little search for the Tim Holtz index clips and they are no longer available, or they're certainly out of stock everywhere I looked. These are plastic ones. They're quite cool, actually. I quite like them. You could certainly use alcohol inks and other methods to kind of colour these if you wanted to. They're the most like them in terms of they've got a solid front. If you wanted, I got these from Amazon. They are these. This is the brand, OHTO. So you can search those. I've just got a little jar of them on my desk, but I've got those put aside. Now I'm going to see if this will work on here, because it's a little bit more bulky. I kind of like the look of that though. Let's see if that will close. Yes, it will. So I think this is done. I think the giveaway journal was probably going to be my next video. And like I said, I'm going to pick one of my videos at random and do a draw for that. So that's going to be coming up. So I hope you enjoyed that. Just to recap, I made my masterboard using a base of 12 by 12 cardstock. You can use a large book page if you wanted to. You don't have to use a 12 by 12, but if you've got some ugly cardstock you want to use up, it's a perfect substrate. You've got a nice thickness to turn it into tags. I then used different book pages, different pages from stamp albums, vintage books, more modern books, anything, music paper, just to produce a neutral background. I've then used anything I had in my stash, so paper dolls, rub-ons, stickers, digitals, words, text, labels. There is one that has, this one for example, the words on here came from a book page. You don't have to use anything fancy. Think about what the purpose of your masterboard is. What are you using it for? Is it for a project you're already working on where you need to stick to a theme, or are you just building your stash? If you add things on top of your masterboard, do you want to use neutrals? Do you want to use a specific colour? Do you want to use a specific theme? All of these things that we've covered today, I hope you find useful. There are still so many things we can do to these. We can add a topper, we can add some paint splashes, you could add stamping. They don't have to be completely finished, but we do have a tag with a focal point starting off from that masterboard. Different sizes is always good. You don't have to cut them to a specific size. Use your imagination, use whatever you have in your stash. So I will be back really soon. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for the support you're giving our channel at the moment. It's absolutely amazing. Take care, and I will see you soon.